Just follow the road. It's gonna lead you right to me.
Thank you guys so much for Wicked. I loved the stage musical when I was in college. It was, maybe first premiering on Broadway back then. Yay. And then now I get to finally watch it in theaters. I was very scared about it being split up into two movies, but having watched it now, I think that was beautifully done.
Thank you.
The final moment just ends on an appropriate high note.
Yes.
Winnie, can you talk about what went into the decision-making of adding certain elements?
Yes, it was very carefully done. We really took our time in a great way. We didn't go, let's just, arbitrarily do this because to pad it out, We were very, very judicious we would have long conversations, Stephen and I together, both of us with John Chu, all of us with Mark Platt as well, just really talking out, what are the two, weighing the two options. And in the end, Stephen has said this, we just had too much story for one movie. And we wanted the whole fun and the whole artistic, if I could say, the fulfillment of being able to make these movies was to be able to explore our story and our characters a little bit more, with a little bit more depth, to take a little bit more time. Well, as we're doing that, it's adding up. And nobody wanted to cut any songs. In fact, we wanted to add songs.
Right.
So it's like how finally John had such confidence in the idea of doing two. And he's a really persuasive guy, but also we could just feel his inner knowing that he felt that, and Mark had this moment with both of us where he said to us, look, if it turns out that it's not really working as two, that one of them doesn't seem like have enough integrity to be its own movie, we'll put them together. And that was so reassuring to us because
we could always wind up going back to the idea of one movie, which is where we began, and just putting in cuts and compressing things in order to not be one 6-hour movie. But it made it less scary of a choice to know if it didn't work, we could always retreat.
And speaking of the songs, I think that that is a large part of what makes Galinda such a unique, idiosyncratic, iconic character. That and Kristen Chenoweth's original performance. Did you get to work with Ariana at all on carving her own Galinda while also paying homage to what we know Galinda to be?
Sure. I worked with Ariana, with Cynthia, with Michelle, with Jeff, with Jonathan, because I produced the songs. So, we were in the studio together, working on their performances. Now, Ariana and Cynthia particularly are such astonishing singers that they wound up doing a lot of their singing live, because they can. But in terms of working out the performance, it was just as you would with, any performer preparing it. Both Cynthia and Ariana came with very clear ideas about who the characters were and how they were going to embody those characters. Ariana saw the show, I think, when she was 10. And she and Kristen are close friends. So she's been thinking about this a long time. In fact, though, what was interesting was that it was important to Ariana especially that she be Glinda and not seem to be Ariana now playing at being Glinda. So a lot of decisions were made to honor that, and that came from her own desire.
Did you get to have any conversations with John Chu about specifically Shiz? Shiz, the...
Oh, yeah.
I loved the way
You mean the design?
Yeah, the design of entering into Shiz.
What's interesting is I can remember the first time he sort of spoke about water. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we were like,
water?
Water?
What?
There's not water in Oz. What are you talking about?
We were so startled.
I think they should come in boats.
Stephen and I are of a time, and I think this still happens, but I don't know for sure, because I'm the age I am. But when I was growing up, and when Stephen was growing up, it was a very big event to watch The Wizard of Oz on television every year. And that movie is so precious to our childhoods and such, and it meant so much to us that when we were forming the musical, we held it in such high regard. We knew that we would nod to it and sometimes have gentle fun with it, but we could never deny its reality. We could never pretend that something that happened in the movie didn't happen. We took great pains because of our genuine reverence for the movie. So I think, even though we were very open-minded and we were thinking a lot about, it could be this, it could be that, but there's a part of us that was picturing Oz the way it was in the movie.
There's no water in Oz.
And John,
what do you mean she's on a cliff?
Yeah, what cliff? and then he would, some things you can explain, and some things you just, I think an artist like John Chu just knows in his own self, in his own gut, that it's what he wants to do. It's going to work. And he, as much as he would try to explain it, until I really saw it, do you know what I mean? I don't think I understood it, the power of it. But now, and I'll just be a little intellectual sounding for a second. Water is the symbol of the unconscious, and it's the idea of water brings you to almost to another part of your consciousness. It's the place where fantasy could lie. I think that maybe I'm going overboard, but I think that some part of him was evoking a feeling of dreamlike state. Anyway, that's what I think.
I love that. Yeah.
And I think it works. What I'm trying to say is, in my way, is I'm trying to say I think it works just beautifully. And you could have locked me in a room for a million years, and I never would have come up with it.
Well, what you guys did come up with was incredible already on its own. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't wait for everyone to enjoy Wicked on the big screen.